All right, the creative act part 5. So the first line I'm gonna give you, he says, an automatic repeated phrase that leaves little room in the mind for thoughts that pull us out of the moment. Certain distractions can make your conscious part of yourself busy, so your unconscious is freed up. Activities you can accomplish on autopilot. These types of distractions keep one part of the mind busy while freeing the rest to remain open to whatever comes in. So a few examples he used was like washing the dishes, taking a walk, going on a drive. He says a lot of artists that he knows, when they get inspiration, rather than just sitting in the studio or like forcing something to come out, they actually take a drive, because when you're driving, you're kind of distracting your conscious mind, but it allows you to like unconsciously think about anything that you want. It kind of like frees up that open space to get inspiration. And I've definitely noticed that when I wash dishes. Sometimes I'll just tune everything out for like an hour and wash dishes. I definitely like pile up the dishes, but it allows me to kind of just think about whatever, and I end up getting a lot of inspiration, or I'll think about something like deeply and get inspiration from that. So I definitely can see and understand where he's coming from. So he says, all the work we ever do is a collaboration. It's a collaboration with the art that comes before you and the art that will come after. It's also a collaboration with the world you're living in, with the experiences you've had, with the tools you use, with the audience, and with who you are today. So I've never thought about it in like that perspective, but it definitely makes a lot of sense that you are collaborating whenever you're working on something, because a lot of artists, including myself, I'll take a lot of things I'm kind of going through emotionally, and things I've gone through as a child, or things I'm interested in, or inspiration that I've like gathered from, and I've kind of like put it into a ball, and I end up collaborating with it all. So it makes sense that like nothing's just like randomly created. It's like created based on like who you are as a person. The next line he says, you could have a distinct idea of what a piece means, how it functions, or why it's pleasing, and someone else can like it or dislike it for an entirely different reason. So I think what he's diving into now is how like art is very subjective, and 1,000 people could look at one piece of art and see things differently. Some might notice something in the left corner, some might notice something in the right bottom. Some people might love it, some people might hate it. They're all gonna like it or hate it for different reasons. And so it really is like beauty in the eye of the beholder. So he says, our thoughts, feelings, process, and unconscious beliefs have an energy that is hidden in the work. This unseen, unmeasurable force gives each piece its magnetism. A completed project is only made up of our intentions and our experiments around it. And so an example he brings up is calligraphy. And he says, the work is created in one movement of the energy transferred from the artist's being, including the entire history of their experiences, thoughts, and apprehensions into the hand. The creative energy exists in the journey to the making, not in the act of the constructing. So I think calligraphy is a great example to use. And he's basically saying that everything that we've like gone through, dealt with, and all our inspirations and like who we are makes us us. And that's like the truth behind our work. So when we go into like calligraphy, we're making the work based on what we like, who we are as a person, and what we've gone through, and what our inspirations are. And so everyone's going to approach even something like calligraphy in a different way. And so I feel like that's why art is so different, because we're gathering everything we've dealt with and gone through and just love, and kind of like putting it onto a ball of energy and creating work based off that. So bouncing off that, he talks about basically saying there's like no rules in art. He says, rules direct us to average behaviors. If we're aiming to create works that are exceptional, most rules don't apply. Average is nothing to aspire to. The goal is not to fit in. If anything, it's to amplify the differences, what doesn't fit, the special characteristics unique to how you see the world. And so I feel like definitely every artist you can think of, Dr. Seuss, Einstein, Kanye, like they're all very uniquely themselves. And I feel like they're always just like constantly pushing the envelope. Like they basically gather inspiration and things they've gone through as well, but also like tweak it to their own flavor. So bouncing off that, he has two great lines. The reason to make art is to innovate and self-express, show something new, share what's inside, and communicate your singular perspective. The artists who define each generation are generally the ones who live outside of these boundaries, not the artists who embody the beliefs and conventions of their time, but the ones who transcend them. Art is confrontation. It widens the audience's reality, allowing them to glimpse life through a different window, one with potential for a glorious new view. And so I feel like it kind of goes to like what we were talking about. I feel like the artists who like really embrace who they are and like share their story inside of the world really are the ones that are like more inspirational and actually create a legacy, because they're not really following. They're definitely like taking inspiration and like grabbing pieces of things that they like, but they end up paving their own way and pushing the envelope. And one good habit to create your own style of work is to not set rules. So he says, it's a healthy practice to approach our work with a few accepted rules, starting points, and limitations as possible. It's helpful to think beyond what's done before. The world isn't waiting for more of the same. So that's a perfect thing to say. The world isn't waiting for more of the same. A lot of artists nowadays are pushing the envelope of genres, like Post Malone, for example. He was known as like an R&B/rapper, but he didn't want to stay in that lane forever, so he ended up doing country, which is like the complete opposite. But nowadays, that's what's cool, like trying new things, seeing what works, seeing what sticks, and just generally what you have an interest in. Curiosity is what makes the artist great, and you're always constantly thinking like, oh, this is great, but I kind of want to try something new. And bouncing off that, he has a line that says, when you throw away an old playbook, you still get to keep the skills you learned along the way. Any rule is worth testing. These experiments are like free throws. You have nothing to lose. Think of like painting, for example. You start painting, you get pretty good, you get good. Maybe you're focusing on just like painting animals, but now you have an interest in painting like landscape. So you're gonna like keep all the skills you learned from when you were painting animals and approach it the same way, but you're just gonna go in a different like creative lane. And so he's kind of saying like you get to keep all your skill sets, but you get to try new things. And who knows, maybe using your old skill sets will make a new skill even better. Like Post Malone, he was able to use his music skills and just the habit of making music and try it in a different genre, and it ended up being just as great and arguably better in some people's opinion. But you're always trying to kind of think of new ideas and try things out. It's like throwing paint on the wall, and like you said, a free throw. It's never gonna hurt. Might as well take the shot.